Have you ever wondered, what skill set do I need if I want to become a creative person? What if I want to become an artist or a designer, building something out of nothing? Hi, my name is MJ, and I am a designer working on architecture and interiors project based in metropolitan areas. I have earned a lot of project experience as well as academic experience as a creative person for the past few years. And I'm here to tell you that there is one skill set that is going to change your creative career. This specific skill set, I have noticed, was never taught in school. I was never taught this specific skill set in school, and I had to learn it in the past couple of years by myself, and it has changed my life completely. This skill set is called public speaking. You see, when I went to architecture school at first, I didn't realize how big of a difference it makes if you are a good presentation person or not. I was very much of a person who believed that my work always spoke for itself, and I never had to do extravagant speaking when I was presenting my work. But that was not the case when I went through my college as a student for my first degree, and then for my master's in architecture degree as a student in graduate school. Every time I stood in front of people, it came to me that presentation skills truly made a difference. And I'm here to specifically tell you about impromptu speaking and how it makes such a big difference in your life as a creative person. Before you decide to go into creative career, I suggest that you watch this video first and decide what you can do and how you can prepare to become a better designer by developing a soft skills like impromptu speaking. I have recorded this video at another place in front of an audience, and I believe that this is the best way to show you how I show my passion and opinion on impromptu speaking. Let's watch it. I should have never said that. Have you ever had that moment when you said something and you immediately regret it?
All the time.
I remember this very specific moment. It was my junior year in college. This is me in college with a long hair, working in my studio space in college, working on my architecture project. In this specific day, I was standing in front of hundreds of people. And imagine architects sitting on the front row, dressed in all black, looking at you and watching to see what you're going to say. In that particular day, I was giving my final presentation as a college student. I stood tall and I started speaking. My project is about proposing a student housing that is for students who feel lonely. Students feel lonely because they are socially isolated, and there should be a design that resolves that. So I propose shared kitchen and living space so that students can come together and become friends. Thus, it resolves the loneliness epidemic. When I was done with my presentation, I was feeling really good. My friends were telling me too, MJ, you might win the best project award. Your project, it looks so good. I looked at my drawings that are pinned up on the wall that I worked on for countless of hours for 4 months straight, and big chunky architectural models standing tall in front of me. And they were protecting me like soldiers. I thought to myself, my work speaks for itself. I might actually win this award. That's when one of the critics raised his hand and said this to me. Don't you think your project could be something else? Don't you think your project could be jail instead? Huh? That was a very, very controversial question, and this is a question that a lot of architectural critics ask to prompt some kind of attitude out of a student. By discrediting and saying that their students' work is not unique, the students would react in 2 ways: defensiveness and anger. I was offended too. I worked on this project for hours. So before I could think even further, I jumped right into answering the question, and I said to him, if you think that way, then it could be anything. It could be jail, it could be hotel, it could be apartments, you name it. And that was the moment when everyone started laughing. MJ's so funny, like look at her giving this kind of answer. It's so humorous. But then, as I looked into the critic's eyes, I knew I did not give him the right answer. That answer was wrong. I knew I wasn't going to get any award, and sure enough, an hour later, when people came up with a list of best projects, my name wasn't on one of them. When I went home, as I closed my eyes in bed, trying to sleep for the first time in 3 days, I thought to myself, that was such a dumb answer. And I was, I really wanted to just kick the walls and just punch everything. This was truly the moment that I learned one of the biggest lessons. My work did not speak for itself. Instead, the speaking, answering the question in the right way, that was going to be speaking my skills. That was such a big moment for me. And as you know, I have joined Toastmasters a few years back, and I have continuously grown. You're my witnesses. You have seen me grow. When I first started speaking here, I could barely make any eye contact, and now I'm a competent speaker. Specifically speaking, however, I want to focus on the impromptu speaking aspect, because I have worked tirelessly in the past few months in order to get better at impromptu speaking. Thinking back on this specific instance, of course, I'm going to tell you how I became better at it, but before that, I'm going to actually analyze what happened at my final presentation. Just like what I do after every date I go on, I would analyze what went wrong. And that is exactly what we're going to do here. Mistakes I have made. Mistake 1, not giving myself time to think. I did not give myself time to pause. This was a huge mistake because it leads to the mistake number 2. Mistake number 2, as you can see here, is giving an answer that is not getting straight to the point. If I gave myself time to think, then I would have given a better answer in general. But I didn't. Mistake number 3 was not actively listening. I wasn't actively listening, so the end result was that I was giving an answer that did not really hit the core of his question. Now, I've gone through the mistakes. I'm going to tell you what I would have done differently. And the specific tool that I use now as an impromptu speaker, this very specific tool that made me better at impromptu speaking. I hope you're really excited. Are you excited? It's going to be very helpful because it takes the pressure off of you. This tool is what I call frameworks. Frameworks do exactly what they say they do. It frames your sentences. So when you answer, you don't have to come up with all the formats. There are formulas that are out there in the world and popularized. The most basic formula that's out there is the storytelling of past, present, and the future. When you tell a story, you talk about a chronological order of things. But there are many other ones that are just as effective. The first one that I'm going to tell you about is called cause and effect. Let's dive into those frameworks. I will speak to you about 3 big frameworks that I use the most and have made a major difference in conversations and answers I give to people. Framework number 1 is called cause and effect. You will talk about a cause of something and then talk about the effect. If I were to use this as the answer to the critic all over again, going back to my junior year in college, I would say this. The cause of student loneliness epidemic is from students being isolated socially and physically. The effect of social isolation is huge. Not only students become lonely, unhappy, but they become unhealthy. It's a huge issue that needs to be tackled, and my project is proposing to resolve that. Do you see how easy that was and how much better it was than saying it can be anything? Framework number 2. It's called PREP. P for point, R for reason, E for example, and P for point from the beginning. Again, you will talk about your answer and the story in this specific order. If I were to use this all over again for that critic, I would say this. The point of my project is that it tackles onto students' loneliness epidemic. The reason the students are feeling lonely is because they are physically and socially isolated from everyone. For example, they would come home and they're not greeted by their family members. Instead, they are greeted by nobody, an empty apartment. They will eat alone, they will cook alone, they will unwind alone. They're lonely. My point is that my project will have shared kitchen and shared living space, which will bring all these students together and resolve that issue. Do you see how much better that was? Including the first one, the answers were so much more clean and clear. Now, I'm going to tackle onto the number 3 of the frameworks that I'm going to introduce to you today. This framework is a little bit different than everything else, but it's just as effective. It just tells the story a little differently. It's called, I call it, tell what you see, tell what you hear, and tell what you smell. You will tell the story like this. Imagine yourself walking into an apartment building, expecting to see empty corridors, empty lobby space with nobody sitting around. Instead, imagine seeing people saying hello to each other in the corridor, and imagine seeing people congregating in the lounge area and talking to one another. Imagine hearing people laugh because they're watching TV together and talking to one another and joking to one another. And imagine smelling a home-cooked meal because they are cooking the meal together and sharing it in the kitchen area. That is what my project is about. Do you see how it made a difference by triggering people's imagination and letting people envision what this space is going to look like? I wouldn't say I invented it, but I truly use it, and I believe this is one of the most effective ways to tell a story. It's called tell what you see, tell what you hear, and tell what you smell. I would use it this way. Imagine walking into an apartment building. You would expect an empty hallway and an empty lobby. Instead, imagine seeing people saying hello to each other, watching TV together. Imagine them hearing, laughing together because they're watching TV and making jokes at each other. Imagine smelling a home-cooked meal because they're cooking and sharing meals together. That's what my project is about. Do you see how effective that was? It takes people into their own imaginary brain. It's a different way of telling a story than the other two methods, but it's just as effective. Now that I have given you the examples of frameworks, I'd actually want to do something fun. I want to have a volunteer who wants to take on a surprise question from me. Raphael, okay, come on up. But you have to use, well, you don't have to, but I suggest that you use one of these frameworks to answer the question. Are you up for that?
Yes.
Woo!
Okay, amazing. I chose a very controversial question. Controversial in my opinion. Is American society politically divided? Tell us your opinion and why. And
Please, Jimmy Hart or what?
I will go back to this. So you can pick either cause and effect, PREP, prep, or speaking of what you see, hear, or smell.
Please tell us what you smell about the
It's all about storytelling your own way.
Cause and effect.
Okay, let me go forward to the question now. I chose not. Okay. Is American society politically divided? 2 days ago, I visited my sister's house, and there was, in that place, a room full of young jocks. My nephews were watching wrestling on TV, and the room was full of all of their friends. So there were like 10 guys watching TV, and they were watching MMA wrestling. And I walked in at the beginning of the round, and I saw 2 fighters were helping ahead. So that's what I saw. And there was a flip onto the floor. The man was pinned. He gave up, and he won the award. And then what I heard was that what I saw, I did not hear. What I saw was then the camera flashed over to the President of the United States, who was sitting front row center right there, watching the affair of war, because it was his presentation. So now what I heard was the winner of the bout extolling praises to the president for setting up the entire thing and for allowing him to win this round. I can tell you, it smelled bad to me. At that point in time, I simply just said, "Hi guys, this is way too much for me. This is too violent. I'm going to leave. Thank you very much." So I walked out because I saw, I heard, and I smelled. Thank you.
That was certainly a very creative use of one of the frameworks. I want to end this speech by telling you that impromptu speaking is a lot more important than people actually think. I learned that my work did not speak for itself. And young professional out there, you know that you speaking out for yourself is so much more important in so many ways than letting the work speak for you. In other instances, when you are talking to your friends, when you're talking to customer service, when you're doing job interview, that is all impromptu speaking. We need to be a better impromptu speaker, and I hope that this presentation inspired you to take on more tools and raise your bar and become a better impromptu speaker. I'm going to end this speech by saying this. Your work does not speak for itself, but your framework, your tools, speak for itself. Repeat after me. Your framework speaks for itself. The framework speaks for itself. Your framework speaks for itself. One more time. Your framework speaks for itself.
Amen.
Thank you very much, MJ. What a wonderful speech. Guys, let's take a minute and give a feedback. What do you think about the speech?
There are many things that I have learned throughout the course of my academic life as a student and as a young designer. But the biggest lesson is this. Your work does not speak for itself, like I said in my speech. You have to truly work through different skill sets to promote yourself, market yourself, and let yourself become more than just work itself. Public speaking is one of the greatest tools for that. For that, I hope you understand how important this is and start to scratch the surface and start to gain experience and knowledge in public speaking. Until next time, ciao.